Macedonia, Gaul, and the United States of America. October 13, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. These three nations, Macedonia, Gaul, and the United States of America, have never been conquered. This fact has both political and economic consequences. There are a few other countries in the known history of the world that enjoy similar status, but so far as the Western world is concerned, these are the three that make the lion's share of the difference. I have explained how the British kingdom was conquered by William the Conqueror, the King of Gaul, in 1066. Though Gaul had begun using the name, France, in honor of the tribal name of the Franks, in terms of its history and political identity vis-a-vis the Holy Roman Empire and international diplomacy, it was still Gaul and William was king of it. So, technically and in fact, Britain was conquered by Gaul and its, doing business name, as, France, was only a small part of the overall picture. Upon the death of William in 1087, England was carved up in a piecemeal fashion and divided among the Norman barons, and each one of them became a sovereign in his own right. This was done to permanently disable England and to ensure that it would never again have a legitimate single monarch. This circumstance has led to Britain's kings and queens being redefined as kings and queens of the Commonwealth, and that has necessitated working for the Pope. Taking a step further back into history, we find similar circumstances attending the vast Grecian Empire of Alexander the Great, which was similarly divided up piecemeal after his death, but which also left Macedonia, similar to Gaul, politically intact and simply operating under different business names. Those business names include Anatolia, Turkey, Bulgaria, Serbia, Bosnia, Romania, Transylvania, and so on. Much of what we think of as the Eastern Bloc, in the center of Europe is in fact Macedonia. And always has been. Finally, we come to the United States of America, which was always divided up into separate states, but which via the use of a federation became recognizable as a single nation. This little stroke of genius is rather the reverse of the same process outlined above, but having the same ultimate result. That is, both England and Macedonia began as single kingdoms and were parceled out into many apparently separate kingdoms, operated as doing business as names of an underlying hegemony, whereas in this country, we started out as many separate states and created an underlying hegemony for ourselves on purpose. Our forefathers did this, because they saw the advantages that it gave to both Gaul and Macedonia. For one thing, the subsets could be conquered and reconquered and renamed, and all manner of things could happen to the bits and pieces of the underlying kingdom, but the underlying kingdom was still unconquered and unconquerable. The underlying greater kingdom had entered another level of political and diplomatic reality, and was immune to the slings and arrows of changes wrought by warfare and superficial changes of government. No matter what betide the fortunes of France, Gaul remains. No matter what happens to the Eastern Bloc and Turkey, Macedonia remains. No matter what happens to the United States, the United States of America is unaffected. Now you begin to see how and why, at a larger scale, our country was deliberately crafted to withstand all attempts to overcome or overrun it. Our early leaders had learned the lessons of Gaul and Macedon, and so, the United States of America entered into the realm of the blessed and unconquered, almost upon its creation. This is largely due to the insights of French politicians and legionnaires who counseled Washington and Franklin, and who wished the new nation rising in the West to be under the influence of and indebted to Gaul, and as much as possible aligned with and subject in international jurisdiction to Gaul. So now you have the background to observe another tricky two-step. Gaul has long been allied to the Holy Roman Empire through the Franks, yet never conquered by it. The kings of Gaul and the principalities of France, William the Conqueror and the Norman barons who ruled England after William's death, were all Catholics from 487 AD onward. Thus, when William Belcher sheltered the new country under his Great Seal in international jurisdiction, it became allied with Gaul, not France, not England. The United States of America and the people of this country not only gained the vast potential of individual sovereignty as a gift from William, but also, the United States of America could not be destroyed by any normal means of military conquest. By allying with Gaul, the United States of America entered the realm of the blessed. It was guaranteed peace. And the popes know it. This poses a very serious problem for the Holy See and the Holy Roman Empire in that they have trespassed against their own most ancient and sacred treaties and contracts, and having been called on it, are faced with either honoring their obligations or being exposed as fraud artists and criminals. The heirs of these immortal kingdoms are the lords of the earth. They stand over the lords of the sea. And they have been trespassed against. The current abuse of trust against the United States of America is a divine offense. It goes far beyond politics. The Holy Roman Empire was so tempted by the material wealth to be gained by enslaving America and Americans, so delighted by the irony of it, and so sure that the King of Gaul would never call them on it, that they engaged in this grotesque deceit and trespass against their own most sacred obligations. Allure, the truth is known and the cards are called.